Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Gamers Den. There's actually going to be two Sunday videos today. One is our normal Gauntlet video, but today I wanted to get a very specific one. So I'm not going to do the normal intro today. This one's going to be a big one. We play video games, right? As far as I know. So naturally we've got our we've gone up against boss fights. Hell, you've seen a few of them recently. So I figured we'd look back on some of my favorites because we've not done anything related to boss fights except one, and that was the hardest boss fights in Pokemon games. Go check that out. Check that video out. You know, gotta plug in the videos. However, we've not done anything of our favorites, and I've got Leo here, so he might chime in every now and again, might and everything. So number 10 for as far as my favorites go, Rabbid Kong from Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Now, I haven't been playing this game long. It's pretty new in my collection. But that first boss fight quickly became one of my favorites. So you don't directly fight Rabbid Kong. Not initially with all three phases of his fight. You get stronger and stronger, you gotta be careful. But you can hit him all day long. So eat a banana and be full back up. The trick is you gotta get him to lose the bananas. How you do that? You step on a pressure plate. You gotta get one of your guys to do a pressure plate. And bananas will drop down. He won't be able to get to him because Rabbid Kong's not exactly the brightest tool in the shed. But it's super awesome, and an awesome King Kong reference on top of that. What's there not to love? Now I know it could have been any Mario game. Oh, before we get fully rolling, there are a few rules that I forgot to mention. One boss fight per entry, which means Mario plus Rabbids is part of the Mario franchise. Which means no bosses from Super Mario Odyssey, none from the original Super Mario, none from the Mario 3D World for the 3DS. Is that clear? Cool. Next, I will be counting spin-offs in that one entry. So if you see like a game that's a spin-off, like Mario plus Rabbids is, I guess, a spin-off, but I've been playing it. I'm super liking it a lot more than Mario Odyssey. Oof. Uh, but that first boss is really fun. I'm excited to get to the Phantom Rabbid. He's probably going to shoot up on that list a bit. I might be doing this list a little prematurely with that, but hey, I want to get this out there because, well, we've never done a boss list before. Number 9 is Waka Waka Werebear from Muppet Monster Mayhem. Now, I haven't finished this game either, but I did get to the second boss in there, and I love Fozzie Bear. And and funnily enough, he's still making jokes while he's in his werebear form. But it's not just his dialogue. It's his, well, boss fighting in himself. His arena ramps up, making bees, buzzsaws, and just all and him throwing rocks and everything. You got to be really super careful. And as you'll see, I like boss fights that make you think a little bit on where to go next, or they're nostalgic for me for one reason or another. But this one was really funny because Animal was not in this movie or this game rather, and that's unfortunate. But I do like the ones that they picked, and of course,
How would they have even done Animal as a boss in that one?
no, the Animal's not in the game at
No,
all.
I'm saying how would they have? They'd almost had to have done what they did with
Maybe they could make
Fozzie.
him into Bigfoot. I mean, they did use classic movie monsters, and I guess he would be the werewolf. But I think the Waka Waka Werebear is a nice little homage to the Wolfman. Number 8. Ah, yes. Genesis from Pokemon Black and White, specifically. I like him in Black and White too, but his boss fight in Black and White comes off the heels of 2 other boss fights. You basically are running a gauntlet match. First, if you got the Master Ball, this is an easy fight. Zekrom or Reshiram. Throw the Master Ball, you got it. Then you
Unless
fight
you're one of
in.
those people who doesn't like to use the Master Ball.
Right.
In which case, good luck.
Yeah, good luck catching this thing. But hey, if you save beforehand, cool. That's what I do with the legendaries. Save and make sure I got enough. Keep at it. However, then you fight in. And when you finish him off, then you go straight into fighting Genesis. His Hydreigon alone is very powerful, but he's got some powerful Pokemon. He's right down to the wire, but I love it. And when you finally beat him, well, he can't believe it. He just can't believe it. And yeah, you would fight him again, twice actually, in subsequent games with Black and White 2 and Team Rainbow Rocket during Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. But that first fight with him, where he fully reveals who he is and why he's doing what he's doing, and the fights going forward before you even face him, cements him on this list. Number 7 is Dr. Anemo from Ben 10, Protector of Earth. I've always loved this fight. It's frustrated me a little bit, but it's one of my favorite fights in the game. Mostly because I loved Dr. Anemo as a kid. Watching the show, he was human, but at the same time he was making mutant hybrids of these characters, and it was just like, it was very cool. He's also got his gorilla suit thing that he's got on, amongst other things. Going forward, it's very technical. Y'all saw our video, hopefully, with that. If y'all didn't, go check it out with the Ben 10 playlist. Protector of our playlist. There is it's on the channel. But it's one of my favorites just because of what it is. Let's see. We have the Whismellow Man, the final boss of Yokai Watch Blasters, Red Cat Team, and Blue Dog Corps, White Dog Corps, something like that. It's basically the Yokai Watch Blasters games. Whismellow Man actually was supposed to be a parody of the Mr. Stay Puft from Ghostbusters. And it is over in Japan, but over here they changed him a little bit. This thing, I was beating my head against it, trying to beat him. Finally beat him, I was so happy. And since it's the final boss, you get a little song afterwards, and it's probably one of my favorites. And the little dance is pretty fun too. But yeah, it's definitely a more enjoyable final boss in the Yokai Watch games. Don't get me wrong. I love the first 2 games that came before it. And Yokai Watch 3 has a pretty good one and a couple of bosses. But the Whismellow Man, just being what it is, I mean, you gotta fight little whisper things, and then you slowly transition to fighting him, and you slowly gotta start fighting him, and it's so cool. It's very tactical. You really got to think on your feet with these games, with the Yokai Watch Blasters games. It's not Yokai Watch in general is a little more technical than Pokemon. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite fights in the Yokai Watch series. Next up is Venom from Lego Marvel Superheroes. It was super hard to narrow down a boss fight from the Lego games. There's so many good ones, but I'm a big fan of Venom. And in his level, I think it's like the 3rd or 4th level in the game, take control of Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Spider-Man. And are going up and trying to take down Oscorp. because the Green Goblin stole the Cosmic Cubes. Or not the Cosmic Cube, the Cosmic Bricks. One of them. Which is a big thing in the game. In this game. And you run into Venom. And he starts making the scientists into Venomized scientists and hazmats and everything else. And eventually coming to the boss fight, you gotta figure out how to make loud noises. And then afterwards he is purchasable, and I think he's purchasable after that. And he can become Ultimate Venom, a big version of himself. He's super fun to play as too. But that boss fight, it felt like a Venom fight. It really did. It felt really good. It was really hard to narrow down one though, guys. There's Star Wars, there's Indiana Jones, there's the various DC ones, other Marvel ones. It was so hard to narrow down a boss fight from Lego. But I think I picked a good one. Number 4 is Zurg from Disney Infinity 1.0. More specifically, the Toy Story one. Now, to even get to Zurg, you gotta do a lot of other quests in the game. He's the final boss after all. And the only way to do it is to do all these training missions. Once you do that last one, Zurg is there, and he is ginormous. So what you gotta do? What you gotta do to beat him? You gotta turn this tower thing that you got into a weapon and shrink him down. The way you do it is you gotta go around this little area around you, pick up batteries, bring them back. It is so fun. I love doing it. Love doing that boss fight. I'm excited to do that for the channel at some point. This is one of my favorite boss fights from Disney Infinity, especially the first one. There's quite a few of them. It was so hard to narrow down these last couple. There's so many good boss fights. But Zurg was just on a technical level, you don't actually fight him directly. And I hate that Zurg, as well as Ferb, got so close to being playable characters in the game and got scrapped. Yeah, there's actually code where you can actually play as Ferb, but you can't attack anything. And you can play as Zurg, and while you can't attack, he can't interact with anything. They were so close to being finished with these characters in the game. We could have had Phineas, Ferb, and Agent P. And then for Toy Story, we would have had 4 characters, 3 heroes, and a villain. It never happened. And it kind of sucks. What are you gonna do? But I'm glad we got a boss fight with him, and it was pretty funny seeing him shrunk and pelting Rex and the aliens with these little green balls, and they're not doing much at all. Number 3 is Jesus. The very first Chaos fight. The final boss fight in the first Skylanders game. This thing is nostalgic for me. 10 years ago, this game came out. Now, I didn't play it until 2012. You know, a little bit after my birthday. I finished the game in about roughly 3 different days. Spent quite a few hours on them. Super excited to find the final boss. Finally socket the Chaos for taking Master Eon away, right? And he brings out a freaking Hydra creature. Brings in pretty much every minion you fought to that point. And is sending out all sorts of crap at you. Now there is an achievement for beating with just one Skylander. That was not easy to get. But I managed to get it with Trigger Happy, so. I think you can do it with any Skylander, but Trigger Happy was pretty good. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite boss fights, just because it was such a big scale. And there's so much stuff thrown at you. You got to be paying attention at all times. Otherwise, your Skylander is gonna die, or at the very least get knocked out. You know how it is. It's a kid's game. And once you defeat him, boom, he's sent off to Earth, landing in a big pile of dog shit. Poetic, no? Moving on. Number 2 is Ripperoo from Crash Bandicoot 2. Cortex Strikes Back. This is an awesome boss fight. See, the first one, he was the second or third boss, and now he's the first boss. And his boss fight in this one is a little more technical. You gotta be a little more careful. I love it because of that. It's like he'll start doing TNT, and then Nitro, and you gotta avoid it. That final one is not easy to do, and everything. But after you beat him, well, Ripperoo is defeated once more, and the Insane Trilogy version is even better. It's a whole lot of fun. It was really hard. It was either him or Tiny Tiger from the third game. So I really like the Lions. That was really fun. But before we get on to the number 1 spot, I have to give out a couple honorable mentions, as well as let Leo take the floor for a second. Definitely the pinstripe fights throughout the entire Crash series deserves a shout out. Drill X, just because he's so funny. I love it. I would say the Great Mighty Pooh, but we haven't fought him yet in Conker's Bad Fur Day. The Lich from Gauntlet, y'all saw that one. That was pretty fun. The Lego Dimensions, pretty much most of the fights from that one is a whole lot of fun. Especially the first fight with the Wicked Witch of the West. From Spyro, there's so many different boss fights there. They're a lot of fun. Really hard to narrow down the Spyro one. I do consider Spyro and Skylanders 2 separate franchises, so keep that in mind. And as far as Pokemon goes, Zapdos, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Zapdos from the Mystery Dungeon games. It's so good. But now I'll hand the floor to Leo for a second. What are some of your favorite boss fights? Bud. Leo.
Alright.
What are some of your favorite boss fights that you know of?
I've always found that not the last fight with Ganon in Ocarina of Time, but the one where you're actually in the tower is pretty funny. It's the biggest game of... It's like the most intense game of hot potato I can think of. Either that or the biggest match of ping pong.
Two.
I can't really narrow one down from the Metal Gear Rising game.
There's a lot of good ones, huh? I think that first one, just with the soundtrack, is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. If I had to pick one, I think it's the third or the fourth one when you're fighting Monsoon is probably the most interesting.
Gotcha. Any others?
None that I can think of off the top of my head right now.
Alright. Well, it's come down to it. My number one favorite boss fight in any Spyro game that I've played is Buzz, the very first boss you face in the third game. Now I could have picked Ripto, I could have picked one of the characters from the first game. I could have picked anybody. But Buzz was the very first big boss that I remember facing on my own. I didn't play the first game until after I did a little bit of the third game, same goes for the second game. And that first boss, if you don't count Pokemon, don't count Lego, this was my very first boss. And it was so much fun. Buzz is just, he's, like with all the other ones on my list, you gotta be careful. You gotta be focused. You got to think on your feet with him. He's easy, but I remember dying from him a couple times. I do remember dying from him because I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I finally figured out how to beat him. Then he starts spitting fire and making like a firewall around him for a bit. Luckily, you're not alone in this fight. You're getting the help of Sheila the Kangaroo, one of my favorite characters from the Spyro franchise. And you get to take out that wussy green toad pretty good, too. And you get an egg for it. So, definitely a lot of fun. I love his little buzzsaw motion, and it's so much. Honestly, I like the original version better than the new version. But, the new version is a lot more easier to handle. I got flattened a little bit more than I really wanted to in the reignited version, but it's fine. Yeah, guys, go down in the comment section down below and let me know which your favorite boss fights are. Do you like some of the bosses that I mentioned? And Lego mentioned. And as always, guys, be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, go down in the comment section down below and let us know what you think. All that good stuff. Hopefully we'll see you guys next time. Bye.